Good morning, everybody. This is Miss Grenade, and we're going to talk about subtracting rational numbers today. We did this last week, and you have your integer foldable. And remember that the goal in subtracting is to get your problem to look like an addition problem, because addition is easier than subtraction. So remember the first couple of weeks we studied the integer rules. If you have your integer foldable, use it, but you need to memorize. The rules. They're so important for the rest of this year and from now on in math. A quick review of the addition integer rules, because remember we are changing our subtraction problems to look like addition problems. To change, underlines change. To change subtraction to addition, do K, C, C, then use addition rules. Remember the first K, the K is for keep the first sign. C is for change the minus to a plus. And the second C is to change the second to its opposite. Okay, we're going to review the addition rules because we are changing our subtraction problem to an addition problem. So remember, when you add like signs, you add the numbers and then use the same sign as the numbers for the answer. When you add different signs, remember the phrase, if signs are different, find the difference. We've talked about that phrase over and over in all of our classes. Remember, diff and diff. If signs are different, find the difference. So that means to find the difference that you have to subtract the numbers and use the sign of the larger number. Okay, now we're going to do some practice problems. Hooray, that's the most fun. Alright. And I want you to rewrite it the same way I'm doing it to make sure that you're understanding about the changing it to addition. So first of all, underneath it we're going to do negative 6 and 5/10 plus negative 2. If you want to put that negative 2 in there just to separate it from the plus sign, that's fine. So if we're going to add negative 2, now this is a decimal, so we have to line up the decimals. So we're going to put negative, we're adding it, so plus negative 2.0. Be sure you line up the decimals. If you have a whole number, it's just like dollars, right? The whole number 2 like $2. And then we're going to add these because they're like signs. So our answer is negative 8 and 5/10. Underneath, I want you to rewrite the second one. And I'm going to give you a second to do that. So 1 and 1/2, change, and then change to negative 2. So if we're adding positive 1.5 plus negative 2, those are different signs, so we actually have to subtract. So what is 2 minus 1.5? That's right, it is 1/2. Which is bigger, the 1.5 or the 2? The 2 is. So we've got a negative 1/2. Number 3. Pause for a minute and rewrite that, and then go ahead and line up the decimals and do your problem. Okay, when you rewrote it, negative 2.25 plus negative 5 and 5/10. So we've got to line up the decimals under here, so we're going to add negative 5 and 5/10. You can always add a 0 in the empty spot to help you keep your column straight. Negative 2 plus negative 5 is negative 7. So remember, we use the same sign. If you're adding two negatives, you get a negative. Number 4. Every time we get to one, if you'll pause it and do it, or just pause it and do all of them and then just watch me go through so that you can see if you're getting it right. 25 plus, I'm changing this to positive, 1 5/10. I think I said 25. It's 2500ths. So now we have to line up the decimals. So we're going to put the 1 under the 0 and 5/10. When we add that, we get 1 7500ths, and they're both positive, so the answer is positive. Next, negative 1/2 plus positive 3/4. Now this time we have to find a common denominator. So between 2 and 4, 2 actually goes into 4, so we're going to use 4 as the common denominator. So we're going to change 1/2 to negative 2/4 because we had to multiply both of these by 2 to get 2/4. So negative 2/4 plus 3/4. The denominator stays the same, so we know the denominator is 4, so we're going to add the negative 2 plus 3. Since we're adding different signs, we find the difference. 3 minus 2 is 1. And the bigger one is positive, so our answer is positive. Number 6, negative 2 1/2 plus negative 7 1/2. So we're going to rewrite it under here. Plus negative 7 1/2. When you add mixed numbers, add the fractions. 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2/2. Negative 2 plus negative 7 is negative 9. And as you know, 2/2 is 1 whole. So we're going to add on 1 whole to the negative 9 to make it negative 10 for our final answer. You could also think about if you owe one friend $2.50 and another friend $7.50, then you're out $10. So you can think about it with money. That makes it easier sometimes. Number 7, negative 12 5/10 plus, and we change the negative 4 8/10 to positive 4 8/10. So underneath we're going to put plus 4 8/10, lining up the decimals. We have different signs. Different signs, find the difference. We cannot subtract 5 minus 8, so we have to borrow from the 11 and from the 12 and put that 1 that we borrowed onto the 5 to make 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. Bring down decimal, and 11 minus 4 is 7. Now, what do we have more of, negatives or positives? We have more negatives, so our answer is negative 7 7/10. Last but not least, we're going to do 24 and 3/8 plus, and with that changes to a positive, 54 1/8. So write it down vertically. It's easier to do vertically, especially when you don't have a common denominator. So 3/8 plus 1/8 is 4/8. 4 plus 4 is 8. 2 plus 5 is 7. So our answer is 78 4/8. Or is it? What did I forget to do? I forgot to simplify. So it's 78 4/8. If you divide both of those by 4, turns into 1/2. It simplifies to 1/2. So both are positive, so our answer is positive 78 1/2. And now your teachers are going to do some problems in your textbook with you. Bye-bye.